So today we're going to talk about testing when it comes to like RSpec testing, when it comes to more than just like it prints out this thing, you know, like we've been doing with most of our code up to this point. We want to test our web requests. When I visit this page, what do I see? When I visit this particular URL, what's the text that shows up on the page? And here's an upfront note: testing is really, really difficult. At the same time, it's really important to write, because eventually what will happen is your app will start with 1 or 2 pages. And then you can just easily test, like, when I visit this particular page, this text shows up on the screen. But eventually it's going to get larger and larger, to the point where I think at one main, I think we had like 1,000 plus tests that were basically covered every single possible scenario. This person visits this page, and then this page, and then this page, and then this is the text that they see on the screen. We're trying to rule out every single edge case, so you want to test everything as much as you possibly can. You're expected as a developer to write all of the tests yourself. So you're like, while you do have QA teams that manage the entire like application, they're in charge of the whole thing. Everything that you write and then you bring into the code base is something that you have to test yourself. So we're going to learn how to write useful tests for our code so we can get a lot of practice. So today's curriculum has a skeleton to get you started called RSpec Start. And we've got it open here on the left-hand side. We've got a gem file. And what does a gem file do?
Keeps track of all of the file or gems that we need for the application.
Pretty much, yeah. So you're saying that, yeah, the answer to this is you have a gem file. Gem file basically keeps track of all the gems that you need to run this particular application. And a gem is nothing more than a Ruby library. A library is nothing more than thousands of lines of code to make your life easier. So I need Sinatra, Shotgun, Pry, Rack Test, and RSpec. These are the 2 new ones that we didn't see last week. These two particular ones are the things that we need in order to run the tests today. Then we have gemfile.lock. What is the difference between gemfile and gemfile.lock?
Gemfile.lock is something that's automatically generated for us, and we should not touch it.
Yep. Yeah, so you have gemfile, but this is all the gems that I need. But these gems have different versions. It's like, I have a Toyota Corolla. Great. What year? Like, what model? You know, there are different years, different models. Similarly here, we have Shotgun and Sinatra and Pry. There are many different makes, there are many different versions of that. Gemfile lock, if you take a look, has all these extra numbers. These extra numbers lock in, that's that dot lock. They lock in the versions so that, you know, what I see on my screen is this exact same thing that you're going to see on your screen, and the exact same thing you're going to see on your screen. How do I install all of these? Because I don't want to gem install Sinatra, gem install Shotgun, gem install Pry. That's going to take too long. So there's one command that we run to install all of them at the same time. Bundle or bundle install. Bundle install and bundle are the exact same thing. I'm just going to type in bundle to save myself 8 keystrokes. And it's going to install everything. If it's already installed, it'll turn white. If it's not installed, it'll turn green. So I've got everything here. So I've installed everything. We've got our app.rb. And just like we said last week, we had a views folder for everything in charge of views. We have now a spec folder, everything in charge of everything that manages all the specs here. That's where we're going to do. That's where we're going to put it. So I'm going to split the screen into 2 real quick. I have app.rb on the left, and I have spec, app spec on the right. Move this over. So all of our tests should follow a given, when, then principle. So given is what you need in order to set up your test. When is what's actually being run, and then what do I expect? Again, given is the setup, like what do I need in order to run this test? When is what I'm executing, and then this is the result. So if you're using the dry cleaner example, like I need to prepare my clothes by, you know, putting them all in a giant pile. That's what I need to do in order to get my clothes clean. The when is I'm going to actually drop it off at the dry cleaner. And the then is at the end of the day or whenever I decide to pick it up. They're all on nice hangers and they got the plastic bag around them and they're all fully clean. So given, when, then. That's the way we should think through every single test that we've got. So we're doing a very basic test here. It lets me access the home page. And this is like, wow, it seems to be kind of a stupid test. Should we turn off the lights? Or yeah, would that help? So it seems to be a rather stupid test, right? It's just kind of like it lets me access the home page. But this is a test that you want to automate because you don't want somebody to write code and add something in new, and then this doesn't show up. So given, I don't need anything to set it up. I just need to go visit it. When is I'm going to make a get request to the slash, and then the then, what do I expect as a result? I expect the last response to be okay. Let's see this run, and we'll play. Yeah, we'll just see if this runs. I do not know what I just did. Sorry, brand new editor. Everything died. So I'm going to list out everything. I'm just going to run bundle exec rspec, bundle exec rspec. Let's see what happens. So bundle exec, what does bundle exec do? I think we might have talked about this last week. Josh covered it a little bit. Michael?
It runs all of your spec files.
No, the bundle exec.
Oh, bundle exec.
Just these first two things.
Oh, well, that runs whatever you want to run with using the versions that you need.
Exactly. So we installed everything into our gem file using just bundle install. We bundled everything together. We installed it all at one time. This bundle exec here, by prepending it to the command rspec, I'm saying use the versions of the gems found in gem file lock to execute this next thing that shows up. If I just run rspec, there's no guarantee I'm going to be using the correct version. Something might blow up. But when I run bundle exec in the front, that means I'm going to be using specifically the versions of the gems found inside of gem file lock. So when I run bundle exec rspec, use the versions of the gems found in gem file lock, and then run through the command called rspec. So bundle exec rspec runs all the tests. We see that we have one green passing one and then two pending ones. Let's just comment these out for now so we don't have to see it. Run one more time, bundle exec rspec. One example, 0 failures. So again, we have a very basic test split up by given, when, and then. Given, what do I need to do to set up the test? Like, do I need to do anything to visit the homepage? Like, I don't need to sign in or log out or create any variables or create a record in the database. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to give it nothing. That's pretty simple. The when is basically what's executing when, what code do you want to execute to test this? So I got the get and then the slash here and then the then. What do I expect the response to be? Now I've got two things that are built in here. I got last response and then be okay. These are things that we hadn't seen before. Last response is given to us from rack test, this gem right over here. So this, on our behalf, Sinatra is making rspec is making a get request to slash. Once I make the request, I'm going to get a response that comes back. And let's just put a pry in here. Take a look.
Thank you.
I'm running bundle exec rspec. I'm stopping right here before this line. So let's take a look at what the last response looks like. Last response looks a little something like this. It's given to us for free from rack test. And this is the entire response if it had to, like, it includes all of the information that we would ever need. You know, we see a few things that look familiar. We see there's a body that says this is the home page of the application. It looks like that's right over here. We see some things like the headers we talked about with HTTP requests. We see the length in terms of bits is 39 bits. We see it's a 200 status code. These are all like important things that we can use. So I expect the last response to be okay. Be okay is basically saying, does the status equal 200? Now, that's all there really is to testing. Let me exit out of here real quick. But this is kind of a crappy test. Like, if I follow this given, when, then protocol, like this is all you really need to set up every single test. And we're going to write 2 more, so if it doesn't make much sense right now, don't worry. But this is all we really need to run the test. But it's a crappy test because it says expects the last response to be okay. What if, and right now it says this is the home page of the application. What if you have a very angry developer who, before they get fired and they leave and they hate everything, they said, this company is complete garbage. Ooh. You know, like what if they decide to just ruin all of the text on the screen, right? Like your company would, someone would definitely take a screenshot of it, they put it on Twitter, and then they would be like, your company would have to send out an apology or something like that for having poop on the screen or something like that. But that's what this test is going to run. When I run this test, it still passes. One example is zero failure, because all I'm testing right now is that the last response was okay. I could actually just go visit that page. And that's not exactly the greatest test. So maybe we want to test something else. Maybe we want to test like what content shows up on the page. So I'm going to change the test. I still don't need anything to get set up. I'm still just making a GET request to the home page, this slash right here. Whenever you see anything that just says slash, it means home page, group page, index page. Like those three things are synonymous. It's just Amazon.com, period. Nothing at the end. eBay.com, nothing at the end. Just Google.com, nothing at the end. That's the index page. Maybe I'll do, let's put the pry back in real quick. I'm going to see what last response looks like. It looks like there's a body thing. So maybe I can just say like, I expect the last response body to have this particular text in there. Let's take a look at last response.body. Okay, it looks like it's string. This company is complete garbage, boo, poopy. Like I don't want that to show up on my screen, so I'm going to say I expect the last response.body to, let's just say match. And then we have regular expressions again. This is the home page. So I've changed just one small thing. Given, I don't need anything to set up. When, this is what's happening when I'm actually executing my code, I'm making a GET request to the home page. And then this is what my expect block, this is what I expect to happen. When I visit this particular page, I expect the body of the page that's returned to have the words, this is the home page on the screen. I'm not looking for exactly, I just expect some combination on the page to say, this is the home page. Now, when I run this test again, it's going to fail. And I will have found out, hey, there was an angry developer, and I expected to see this is the home page, and what I got was this company is complete garbage with vulgarity on the page. So I'm going to go back, change this up, and say, this is the home page of my website. Bundle exec rspec, everything should pass. Even though I have some extra words, as long as the words this is the home page shows up, I'm good. We've got a couple more tests, so we're going to comment them out one by one, and we will fix them, and I'll go over the questions that we have here today. So we have another test here. It says, it greets me when I provide a name to the greet action. All right. And this X at the beginning just means that I'm going to make it a pending test. When I remove it, it becomes an active test. So I know I need a do, and I know I need an end. It greets me when I provide a name to the greet action. So it looks like when I make a post request to greet, it'll respond with hello, whatever your name is. All right, so we're going to set it up. Given, when, then. Looking at the code here, do I need to provide anything? Given is what do I need to do in order to set up this test? Do I need to provide any variables? Do I need to do anything? What do I need to do?
Well, you're making a param name over there, so you need a name for them.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you take a look at the GET request that I've got here on line between line 3 and 5, there's nothing that I need. I don't need any sort of variables. But if you take a look down here on line 7, it looks like it needs something like param's name. So it looks like I do need something to set this up. Indent it twice. and just do params name equals John. This is what I need to do in order to set things up. The when is the code that's actually being is the code that's actually being written, like actually being run. So seeing that this is a get request to slash, what is the action that's actually being run here?
Post to greet.
Yep. Post to slash greet. The when, again, is what code is being executed. And then the then, what do I expect the result? So I'm just going to copy this and shove it in this place. My result, like what do I expect to see on the page?
Hello, John.
Yep, pretty much. Run the test one more time. If all goes well, we'll see 2 examples and 0 failures. Something's broken. It says undefined local variable or methods params. So I set this up, so I do need to set this up, but I think it's incorrectly set up. I think it's just params equals, and I'm going to need to have a name go to John like this. So I can't literally just copy and paste it from here and put it in its place. Params is a hash that's given to us for free whenever we fill out a form or whenever we fill out something inside the URL. So I need to pass that whole thing in here. Something still looks like it's broken. It doesn't seem to like what I've done here. Let's take a look. I'm going to put a binding prime inside the code. We're running the code, and it says, like before, I expected to see hello, John, but I just got hello, and it's empty. Let's take a look why. So now I'm here on the left side. Let's take a look at what params gives us. Params is nothing. Oof, that's not good. So it turns out when I make a GET request, I don't need to provide anything. When I post, which means I'm sending information over, it doesn't automatically know, hey, you need to use this here. It's not as intelligent as the Sinatra code. I need to actually pass in params as params. Now, if this runs, we will see. I'm stuck here again. When I look at params, I actually get a whole bunch of extra stuff. I think I did too many things. Let's get rid of this one. Exit, goes again, run it one more time. Hey, now we got something. So again, before, I'm setting up my test, given, when, then. Given, what do I need in order to set this up? You can kind of see for the GET request, I didn't need to set up with anything. The POST request, it needs params. And inside of params, it needs something called name. So I set up params equals name, a hash. The key is name, and the value is my name, John. I post to /greet with those parameters, and I expect the body to match hello, John. Let's see if this exits, and does it pass? It does. Is that, have I lost a lot of people yet?
So inside of your original parameters, where like when you have a form, it comes with its own set of parameters. You can add more, or you can add more key value pairs to that as well.
Yep.
By just doing the
Correct.
Yep.
That's right. All right, the last test. Remember, the X at the beginning makes it a pending test. So when I run this right now, it says 2 examples, 0 failures. Now it's 3 examples, 0 failures, 1 pending. So that's that yellow one. The moment I take out the X, it becomes an active test. I add a do, and I add an end. And it says it returns an error when I don't provide a name. So we're going to do this test-driven development. So we're going to do given, when, and then. We're going to write the test first, unlike these two, and then we're going to write the code that makes it pass. So given, I'm going to send params with an empty name. Like there's just not going to be anything inside of there, and I wanted to raise some sort of error. So given, do I need to set up, what do I need to do to set up the code? What do I need in order to set up the test? When what code is being executed, and then what is my expected output. All right. Using the same thing that we've got over here, I'm just going to copy this line. I'm going to copy each line and just bring it up. Rams / read, and this last one. So starting with the top one, what do I need to do in order to set up the test using the descriptive thing that I see over here on line 24?
I think you need an error.
Don't need an error. But that's my expect. I mean, that's my then at the bottom.
Well, you need a name.
I don't need a name. It says it returns an error when I don't provide a name. So I think if I just have params as just an empty hash, I don't have a name at all. I think this is what I need to set it up. All right, I got the when. What code is being executed? Same thing, post / greet with these parameters. I think this remains the same. What's my expected output? It's probably not going to be seeing hello John show up on the page. I expect it to return some sort of an error. So how do I change my test to include some sort of error text? Let's just say we're going to return a string that says like you have to provide a name.
Just put the error message in there.
Yeah, you just put your error message inside of here instead of saying hello John. I'm just going to say you must provide a name. So I expect the body of the response to say you must provide a name of some sort. On the test, it's going to fail because I don't have that code yet. Instead, I got hello blank instead of you must provide a name. So the test I know works. I just need to make the code work at this particular point. So how do I check? How do I do some logic, some condition, maybe some if-else statements to basically see if you provide a name, I'll greet you. If you don't, I'll say you must provide a name.
So you can just do like if like an if else, and the condition for the first if we can just say if params that name,
yep.
Right, if it exists in that, and then else then we just want to
Yep, so Michael got it. It was basically, if there's something inside the parameters, greet that person with that parameter. Otherwise, tell them that they must provide a name. 3 examples, 0 failures. How do people feel about testing? All right, let's take a look at the things that we've got for today. Again, for the next 6 weeks, all of the stuff that I say and all of the resources that I get it from are all found directly on your curriculum. We have a few things for today. I want to go over static files really quickly, but we have 2 assignments. In rock, paper, scissors, we're going to be using a lot of pictures. Just like we have a specific folder for all of our spec files, and just like we have a specific folder for all of our view files, anytime that you have any pictures, it's going to look a little something like this. So we have a views folder for all of our views that we have with all the ERB files inside of there. And then we have something called public. These are public assets, not something that is available to the public. Public assets inside of there have images, JavaScript files, and style sheets. Can you guess which one has the images? Right. So it's basically, we try to, anything that's going to be available to the public that they're going to need to consume, we put inside of a public folder. For us, we have images. All of our images are going to go inside of here, some random image.jpg. All of our style sheets are going to be inside of here, some random, JavaScript style sheet. And then finally, we got our CSS thing, which is like all of our CSS stuff would go inside of here. And this is how we would break it down. We have 2 challenges, and before we get started on them, I'd recommend going through this particular README and understanding everything. And if you don't, just please don't hesitate to let us know. But the first one is kind of fun. It's a rock, paper, scissors player. Your job is to write and test the UI. When I choose, you're going to choose, like the user's going to go onto your page. They're going to click on one particular picture. That picture will go against the UI, and then it'll say, this is what you chose, this is what the computer chose, and you win or you don't win. Fairly simple. The logic behind it is just going to be a huge bunch of if-else statements. Like, if you are paper and the computer is scissors, you lose. If you are paper and you are rock, the computer, you win. And if you're the same thing, you're going to tie. By the end of it, it should look a little something like this. We've had a good one from last cohort. We'll just go with Raymond's. Let's see, Raymond Kimberly branch. So I'm going to clone this down. CD into Sinatra and run git checkout to Raymond Kimberly branch. And we will list out everything. We're going to do shotgun app.rb, and let's see if this works. So it's running on 9393 localhost. So my computer is hosting a server right now. Localhost 9393. Not / credit card. Let's take a look at all the routes that he's got. So under here, app.rb, I just have play. Great. All right, I'm going to select my weapon. I got rock, paper, and scissors. Those particular, those pictures are all found under public images. Paper looks a little something like this. I don't know if you can see it quite well. We got the fist for the rock and the scissors for the peace sign. I'm going to choose paper, throw. User's paper loses to bot scissors, too bad, sucks. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to be rock this time. User's rock wins versus the bot scissors, congrats. Very, very simple game, just meant to do, like, again, solidify. I have a web browser, I have a web server. You're going to create your routes, you're going to create your views, you're going to have some basic logic of like who's going to win, and you're going to have a little bit of how do I bring in pictures. Any questions on anything? Let's hit those lights again. Thank you.